Now, okay, let's try to do this jigsaw puzzle with Michigan and the Big Ten. Nicole Auerbach, today, Michigan's deadline to respond to the Big Ten's notice of potential discipline. Michigan has until the end of the day today to respond. Because of necessary procedural steps, it's unlikely the Big Ten would issue any punishment today. But there has also been this story that started developing the last couple of days about the Big Ten with other programs that have shared information about Michigan's signs. Here's one with Bruce Feldman. You could read both of them. Michigan saying that Purdue, Ohio State, Rutgers decoded shared Wolverine signs in 2022 before the Big Ten title game. Above that, staffer involved in decoding the Wolverine signal said he doesn't buy that the way Stallions in Michigan allegedly gathered their intel actually gave them much of an advantage over the way other teams usually do it, or that they actually needed this. And then, of course, there's more stories that have. Dan Wetzel then tweeted this out, and we can discuss this. But Dan Wetzel here. Michigan and Purdue broke the exact same rule. They used advanced scouting to steal a future opponent's signals. Why does the NCAA and the Big Ten only care about one of them? I asked you guys there yesterday. It almost looks like this is Republicans and Democrats. You throw a barb, we throw one back. I don't know, but I'm sick and tired of hearing about it. But again, I also understand why it is a story that Michigan's right there in the mix to be a part of the college playoff for a second consecutive year.
Just a little tease. This story has inspired the top five today because Tony Soprano's actual college roommate is involved in it at Rutgers. Dan
Wetzel joins us today at 3:30, by the way. Go ahead.
This is getting weirder and weirder. And look, they should punish everybody who broke the rule stealing signs. So if Purdue did the same thing, and Dan Wetzel also brings up a good point in his column, what should you rather have, grainy cell phone video that Connor Stallions did, or the actual coaches that are, paid to coach decoding the signals? Yeah, you'd probably rather have Purdue, Rutgers, Ohio State's method of doing it. But again, we need a little bit more information on the other sign stealing side of it. Either way, the Big Ten's got a big problem that they have to solve. And when you compare them to how other conferences deal, this feels like a lot of big old school Big 12 infighting. We've seen it down here before, and the schools are at each other's throats, and they've got to get through this because they're going to cast a pall over their whole league if everybody is stealing signs. And to the degree of whether this is a big deal or not will always be debated. They need to figure out what's going on going forward and figure it out. But Michigan saying, look, we did it and they did it, well, that doesn't make it right. Like, okay, yes, that's fine. Let's punish everybody involved.
Craig?
I thought it was a more interesting story when it seemed like it was just Michigan, and now that it's just a bunch of finger pointing, now it kind of becomes old very quickly of just, you cheated, no, you cheated. And, well, I cheated, but you cheated this way. And, well, that cheating's worse than this cheating. And, it's a bad look all the way around. Not that I was rooting for Michigan to be the sole culprit, but it just made it a more interesting story if they were like big bad, like Russia trying to finagle their way into some devious, outcome. But when it's everybody, it's just like, it's just everybody, the Spider-Man meme pointing at each other. I read Dan Wetzel's column, and I agree with most of what he has to say, but I think to say that, coaches trading information, which they do that at the high school level, do they not? Like they do that at every level of football. You play a team, you pass it along to your buddies or to people that you know who are playing that team upcoming. That's pretty common practice around football. And in the end, you're all sharing signs, and I guess you're all coming about the same information, but I just don't agree that trading information with people who recently played other people, while it's similar, is not the same as funding airline travel and seats and multiple parties being involved. And it's not just Connor Stallions, but they're sending out other minions to, and I don't know how all of that worked, if he was like some big brain that was orchestrating this all on his lonesome, or if Michigan was helping. Somebody had to be paying all these plane tickets and stadium tickets and whatnot. But that to me is not the same thing. That is not the same thing as you played somebody and you got the information and you passed it along. It's all sharing information. It's all sharing signals. Yes, that is true. But the way in which Michigan allegedly did it, or Connor Stallions did it or whatever, is not what those other schools are necessarily doing. I mean, am I crazy here? Do y'all understand
No,
what I'm saying?
I get it.
So I didn't feel like that was an apples to apples comparison. I mean, in the end, I guess it's all applesauce anyways. But I don't know. I think what Michigan was doing is a little more bizarre and a little more of like intentionally trying to bend the rules and not doing it the way that it's pretty much always been done when you just share info with people. You got people with camera glasses on the sidelines pretending that they're not really there, trying to hide that they're there. I mean, that's not. Hey, Bill, we just played Ohio State. Here's what we found. So that's where I disagree slightly, but, it doesn't really matter. In the end, it is, all the same accusations and finger pointing. And, now that it's become just a big, mudslinging fest, I have less interest in it, but I know because of the parties involved and now it's, a good number of the Big Ten teams that it will remain as hot of a story. But, it was more interesting when it was like a big bad villain kind of thing. And now it's just like, oh, yeah, everybody kind of sucks at this.
There's now the comparison of what, and this is in an article in theathletic.com, there's a comparison of what Michigan was doing or did was like what the Astros did above and beyond somebody in the locker room or clubhouse or in the dugout or bullpen stealing signs from a third base coach. And that's what the response is. I've been watching some of those who cover Michigan, some of the columns, some of the rebuttals, and some of that. We will hear from Dan Wetzel. He'll join us at 3:30. In fact, he wrote the column and get his feedback too.
Yeah, I mean, like the where the Astros and Red Sox and anybody else who's been accused or caught of stealing signals, the reason that it's become illegal. And look, the Major League Baseball moved pretty fast to fix all that. The PitchCom system came along and it certainly helped that a great deal. Was using technology to do it and eliminating that. So that's where the line is, and that's what I need to know on the Purdue, Ohio State, Rutgers triumvirate of, is this coaches sharing information or did somebody at one of these schools develop their own better way of Connor Stallionsing things and do that? It seems to me on the surface, it's just that they were sharing information, and I don't know what the rules are on that because it seems to me to be something that happens quite a bit, especially because coaching is, go sit and talk to any coach and then just ask them to write down all the people that you're somehow connected to. And even a coach at the most minuscule, random school.
What's our friend from, oh my goodness, it played Baylor in the national championship opening game. God, I just went blank. I can't believe it.
So the people
he knows everybody.
They're connected. They know everybody. So that's just how coaching works. It's just a big, gigantic fraternity of, occasionally they'll be like, we haven't met before, and that'll be surprising. But when you say, we were both on staff at, so-and-so state in 1991, you're like, oh, okay, so they know each other. That's how it works.
John Gallagher's with them.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that that former staffer came out and said that they were scouting Michigan as well. I mean, good on that person to, see the situation developing and to say, and I forget what staff they were on from that article. I'm just going blank there. If it was Purdue or something. But
I think it was Rutgers.
Or Rutgers, okay. Yeah. But I mean, that staffer decided to come out and say, hey, Michigan's not the only one doing this, and we shared signals and all of that. But, it's all, the Spider-Man meme basically, and that makes it kind of a less interesting topic in my mind. But, the way that it's handled now moving forward by the Big Ten and knowing, too, that they're not just dealing with an isolated incident. They are dealing with whatever that complex system was at Michigan that we still don't really know quite exactly what that was. And now that they have other parties involved under the league umbrella, how does that get handled? That will be an interesting outcome. I'm not interested in the minutia on the way and how we get there every single day. I'm really not. I don't think any of us are, unless there's a bombshell type of an announcement made. But I think the Connor Stallions thing, to whatever degree Michigan was involved, that was a little bit more complex. That was a little more James Bondy and clearly some more effort going into it than just merely trading.
They were in person. You cannot be in person. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, it's very clearly against the rules. So, like I said, it was a little bit more James Bondy and very clearly going out of your way to wear disguises and sit in crowds and film on your camera phone and grainy camera footage. What iPhone do you think he was using? I mean, I know if you zoom in long enough that eventually gets grainy, but I don't think it's you have to run it through some sort of like technology we got pretty good camera phones these days. And I think if he's flying around to games every weekend, he's probably got an updated iPhone that, was videoing this stuff. But yeah, that just seemed a little bit more off the wall and a little strange. And so that's where that one needs to be explained a little bit better.
Dennis Haiti in the chat, passing video around is common. Passing recordings of signals is not common.
Yeah.
Plus, teams aren't allowed to use electronic equipment to record the other team's sideline/signaling. You can do what you want when you're watching a game on TV or you find a game that's been recorded. You can look at what they're doing. If there are shots of the sideline, that's fair game. But in this case, Dennis Haiti pretty much wrapped it up pretty well. Thank you very much. And yeah, right now everybody is pointing at not everybody. I'm going to wait to get into the Connor Stallions, Blake Corum deal. We'll do that a little bit later about some alleged business relationship.